Hey, how's it going? And today we are exploring controlling gameplay with keyboard input. Now, unfortunately, in Unreal Editor for Fortnite and in Fortnite, we only have very limited keyboard inputs that we can use to control things. And so far, the only ones that I've found are left control button and the space bar. But hey, that's better than nothing. And this is a little shock to me just coming from Unreal Engine because you have complete keyboard input control in Unreal Engine. So that's kind of a difference. But we're going to work with what we have. We're not complaining. If I come into Fortnite, I'll show you what we've got here. So I've got my player character, right? And I'm just walking around. Now if I hit left control, you'll see I get a print string that the left control has been pressed. And if I press it again, you'll see that it's been released. Now this may not seem like much. I can see people going, so what? But if you think about it, wherever you see the print string, that means I can control anything else I want in the game. So yes, the player is crouching, but also I could trigger any other event I want in the game now with the left control button. In addition to that, it's not the only game in town. If I'm on my merry way and I jump, you can see I've triggered something with the spacebar, which means I can use commandeer the spacebar for keyboard input control. Whenever I want, even though the character jumps at the same time, I could also be triggering any other event. And if I wanted to, I could actually hide the character during that time that I'm pressing the keyboard, but I'm not worried about that at the moment. I just want to show you that you can have limited keyboard input control. So in Unreal Editor, I just have a verse device in the scene, and that's paired to a spawner. So what we're going to do is when the game starts, we're going to basically create these bindings, or input actions you would call them in Unreal Engine, for us to have access to that keyboard functionality. So in the code, I'll kind of go over this as fast as I can. We just have our modules, and make sure you have the Fortnite.com characters because that's what's making these bindings possible. One way it might be helpful is to also think of subscribing as binding, because then when we subscribe down here, basically we're binding to a function that we've written down here. And then also this might be helpful to remember is that parameter is the data that the function wants, and the argument is the data that is sent. So when we write these functions and we put stuff in the parentheses, I'm saying this is the data that I need. This is the data input that I need. And these functions here, you'll notice they're all tied to the Fortnite.com module for characters. So all you have to do to explore what all those are is if you hit control, you can go to here and it shows you access to all the things that we can do. Now, this is related to the keyboard presses, and these events are tied to these logic types down here, which so we can say is crouching. The is crouching is tied to the crouched event. The jumped event is tied to nothing, really. The jumped event is just listening for the jump somehow. This is interesting. You'll see on the function that we've written for the spacebar, there is no is falling or anything here for jump. Is jumping. There is no is jumping. It's just strictly listening for it on its own. There's no test I can put it through. So when I press the spacebar, you just have it do whatever you want it to do. So keep in mind that I'm printing out strings. Wherever you see a print string, I could be triggering any other event to happen in the game. So it's really kind of cool that with just two keyboard presses, we can have such control over the game to make things happen. So this has a lot of application and potential. And maybe someday this will be expanded. One thing I noticed is there is no is sprinting, and it wants a value. So look at this. So if we come up here and we look at sprinted event, right? It's looking for a logic type, right? Which logic type is it looking for? Wouldn't it be is sprinting? But look at the ones we have. Is active, is down but not out, is crouching, is on ground, is in air, is in water, is falling, is gliding. There is no is sprinting. So I don't think this one is quite ready. So I can't use this one. It's saying, hey, for the sprinted event, I want some logic back, but I don't have any logic to give it. We'll go back in here and just look what we're doing. We got the @editable for our spawner. And we're doing it on spawning because we want to bind these keys at the very beginning of the game. We reference our my spawner, which is spawn event, subscribe to this function that we've written, and this basically does our keyboard bindings here. So we're going to get our Fortnite character, make sure that there's a Fortnite character there, and if it is, bring it back. Once that's set, then I can reference this variable, crouched event, and then subscribe to this down here. So this left control event, this subscribe basically binds it to this function that I've written down here. It's requesting this parameters in, and then is crouched, then do whatever you want. So I wrote this just to show you that once I press the left keyboard, and that's true, then I could call whatever I wanted to call, whatever function or method or anything. So this is why I say do whatever you want. I could trigger an explosion, I could trigger something to spawn in, I could trigger teleporting, I could trigger text to appear, I could trigger the game to shut down possibly. I mean, whatever I wanted to do just by pressing the left control. And then this is just once it's released, it says it's released. And this again could be trigger something else to happen. And then we do have the spacebar control here. It only requires a Fort character input. So that's it. So maybe someday this will be fixed, or I'll figure out why I can't do this should be the Shift plus W here. So this would give us, if I press Shift and I'm moving forward, I should be able to have control for that. But right now it's just left control button and the space bar. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Take care. Have a great day.